Donald Trump is taking new steps to bring a controversial figure back into the fold. His 2016 presidential campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, a convicted felon who was later pardoned by then-President Trump. CNN's Kristen Holmes is joining us with details. Kristen, what do we know about the current talks involving the Trump team and Manafort?
Well, we are told that Manafort is being asked, or at least in discussions, to help with the Republican National Convention. Now, it's not clear exactly what he would do. One source telling me that it could be related to fundraising, but multiple sources adamant that nothing had been decided yet. They also tried to step away from the idea that he'd be part of the official campaign, mostly just highlighting that he would be part of the re-election effort. Now, again, just to note who Paul Manafort is, he was one of a number of people who served as head of Donald Trump's 2016 campaign, albeit briefly, before being charged with financial crimes later, and then, as you noted, being pardoned by the former president. And I am told that this is all being done at mostly the request of the former president, who has said time and time again he wants to bring Manafort back in, that he really likes Manafort. Is there a role for Paul Manafort? Again, sources telling me there's nothing concrete yet, but it is something that's in discussions with him, and it's likely to take place.
You know, it's interesting, Kristen, despite being the presumptive Republican nominee right now, Trump does not appear to be changing strategy. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, we heard from him in a rally in Ohio over the weekend where he really played to his base, playing up his comments about immigration, praising those who were charged with their behaviors on January 6th. And we are told that this is likely to remain the same, that Donald Trump is who he is, and that it's not likely that he's going to shift his narrative completely. A lot of this is what he thinks that he will win on. Take a listen to what he said in Ohio.
If I had prisons that were teeming with MS-13 and all sorts of people that they've got to take care of for the next 50 years, right? Young people, they're in jail for years, if you call them people. I don't know if you call them people. In some cases, they're not people, in my opinion. These are bad. These are animals. We're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars. You see the spirit from the hostages, and that's what they are, as hostages. They've been treated terribly. Unbelievable patriots, and they were unbelievable patriots and are.
Now, we were told by senior advisors that in a general election, you're likely to see Trump, quote unquote, tailoring his message, meaning based on where exactly he is, he might play up specific issues. But again, not downplaying any of his rhetoric, but it is going to become more complicated for his campaign because for such a long time, Donald Trump was really existing in a vacuum. Every speech that he was giving just to conservative media. He was on Truth Social instead of Twitter. A lot of his message was not amplified, but now he is the presumptive Republican nominee. So tailoring those comments and having his campaign have to do cleanup after at least some of those comments is going to be a little bit more difficult, Wolf.
Kristen Holmes reporting for us. Thank you very much. Joining us now, the former Trump National Security Advisor turned vocal Trump critic, John Bolton. He also served as the United States Ambassador to the United Nations. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us. And as you know, Paul Manafort is a convicted fraudster and tax cheat with ties, actually he had some ties to Russian intelligence services. So why would Trump, do you think, want to add him to his team right now?
Well, I've known Paul Manafort for over 40 years, and as a politician, he probably could bring some skills that Trump needs at this point, thinking about just what you were talking about, a general election campaign. And it's also typical of Trump. He reaches back to people like that. And expects things from him. So it's not surprising. I think we'll probably see more of the same as time goes on.
Interesting. The former vice president, as you know, Mike Pence, says he cannot in good conscience, his words, endorse Donald Trump. But he's not saying if he will actually vote for him. Listen and watch this.
I cannot endorse the agenda that Donald Trump is carrying into this national debate.
Is that the final word from you? Can you be persuaded, if he changes tax, to vote for him? Would you vote for him?
I won't be endorsing Donald Trump this year. But look, I want to be clear.
But would you vote for him?
I respect the right of Republican voters who've made it clear who they're for, who they want to be our standard bearer this year.
So, Ambassador, do you see this as Pence potentially leaving the door open to vote for Donald Trump?
Well, I think he wanted to make it clear he was not endorsing him, obviously, and I wish he had gone further and said he wouldn't vote for him, because I think that would help persuade Republicans that they're somehow not betraying the party if they don't, and that could yet come.
You also heard Trump say it would be a, quote, bloodbath for the country, end quote, if he isn't elected. He claims he was referring only to the impact on the auto industry in the United States. Is that how you see that comment as well?
No, I think he knew exactly what he was saying, and he's just fortunate in retrospect that it happened to be near the comment about the cars. But I think he has said similar things before about the consequences if he doesn't win, because, as we know, he'll announce that the election was stolen, and he would be trying to get his supporters to be out in the streets about it. That speech was filled with other things. He said Liz Cheney, for example, should be prosecuted for her role in the January 6th committee. That's part of the retribution campaign that you're going to see if he's reelected. He was caught on an open mic over the weekend saying nice things again about Kim Jong-un. He said, you know, when Kim speaks, his people sit up and listen. I expect my people to do the same. So now Kim Jong-un's his role model for governance. All of these things hopefully will sink in and cause people not to vote for him, although he said similar things in the past and it hasn't worked.
I'm anxious to get your thoughts on this as well. Trump is promising to free the criminals who've been convicted, charged in the deadly January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, calling them hostages and patriots. As you know, many of these people are charged with assaulting and impeding police officers. What's your reaction to that?
Well, it's another Trump assault on the Constitution. Remember, he called for it to be the Constitution to be suspended so that he could be declared the winner of the 2020 election. None of the people who have been arrested and prosecuted by federal prosecutors for January 6th should have been on the Capitol grounds to begin with. Most of them know it. There's simply no excuse for it. I think their sentences could have been higher, and I certainly don't think any of them should be pardoned.
Ambassador John Bolton, thanks as usual for joining us.
Thank you.